my name is Barbie Flanagan. Welcome back to True Crime Terror Tales. If this is your first time here, please like, subscribe, and leave lots of comments and ideas. We've got Halloween coming up, and I want some real good ideas, something really scary. Well, today we're talking about a story that is 50 years old, but it's still known as the largest mass kidnapping in U.S. history. A school bus full of children disappeared. It's gone for about a day and a half. When the kids finally get free, you won't believe where they were or who did it.
Chowchilla, California is a quaint town decorated by nature. It's a close knit community, a safe place to raise a family. That sense of safety was broken on July 15th, 1976, when a group of kidnappers targeted Chowchilla's children. 55-year-old Edward Ray was a farmer who also drove a school bus. He picked up 26 students ages 5 to 14 from Derry Elementary. The kids were in summer school and they'd been treated to a field day at the town pool. 14-year-old Michael Marshall was on punishment, and his parents made him ride the bus for the first time ever. Mike didn't even know which bus to take. Ray told him to jump on, he'd take him home. As Ray drove down a country road in Madera County, he came across a white van blocking the way. He stopped, and within seconds, three men confronted Ray, ordering him out of the driver's seat. The men had nylon stockings over their faces. One drove the bus, another held a sawed off shotgun on Ray, while a third man trailed in a white van. They stopped near the Chowchilla River. There was a green van waiting there. One at a time, the vans were driven up to the school bus door. The kids and Ray were made to hop from the bus into the vehicles to avoid leaving footprints on the ground. And with that, 19 girls, 7 boys, and one bus driver disappeared.
The bus carrying the youngsters and driver from a summer school session at Dairyland Unified School was found empty in a bamboo-covered area of the dry Berenda Slough. There is no doubt the bus was deliberately hidden in the thicket, and dust on the seats indicated the 26 youngsters were not aboard when the bus was driven into the slough. The mysterious disappearance would also indicate that at least 2 people had to be involved, one to drive the bus into the slough and another to guard the youngsters. There were other vehicle tracks on top of the bus tire tracks in the sand.
Means you have no leads, right?
We have nothing to go on at the present time.
Just imagine a whole school bus full of children and their driver gone. The people of Chowchilla were in a panic. The FBI and local law enforcement agencies searched everywhere. It became a nationwide story, and everyone was terrified for the safety of the missing children. Meanwhile, the missing kids cried as the kidnappers drove them around for 11 hours with no food or water. The van's windows had been painted black, and the interior was reinforced with paneling. Darkness swallowed the victims. Ray and the older children tried to calm the little ones. Finally, around 3:30 a.m. the next day, the vans pulled into a rock quarry in Livermore, just 100 miles from Chowchilla. Apparently, the kidnappers had driven all those hours to confuse the group. Ray and the kids were forced to walk to a hole in the ground and climb down a ladder, and this is what they saw: the inside of a moving truck buried 12 feet underground. Once the group was inside, the kidnappers dragged a heavy metal cover over the hole. They weighed it down with two 100-pound batteries. Next, they piled 4 feet of dirt on top. They literally buried the victims alive. At this point, the kidnappers went home. The plan was to contact school leaders and demand a ransom, but the phone lines were busy due to the worried parents calling around and authorities using the lines for the search. So the men took a nap. They were tired from driving all night and, burying 27 people alive. Ray and the children got settled inside the heart of the moving truck. It measured 8 by 16 feet. There were old mattresses, jugs of water, a small table holding cereal boxes, peanut butter, and bread. 2 pipes and some fans provided some ventilation. There were holes cut in the wheel wells to be used as toilets. The conditions were horrible, and it was pitch black. The children called for their parents. Soon things got worse. They ran out of food and water, and the fan stopped. It was stifling inside the truck. Then the roof started to cave in from the dirt the kidnappers piled on top of it. At this point, Ray and Mike decided they had to take action. They had to get out of there. They piled the mattresses up and climbed to the roof. They went to work with a piece of thick wood. They struggled until they moved the metal covering with the batteries on top. Then Mike squeezed through the opening and dug for hours. Finally, light broke through and they were free. They ran to some quarry employees for help. Authorities took the kidnapped victims to the Santa Rita facility, where they received medical care, food, and water. They were driven home to their loved ones in CHOWCHILLA. Ray and Mike were heroes. It didn't take long before authorities had a suspect, the quarry owner's son, 24-year-old Frederick Woods IV. Fred had the keys to the quarry, and a guard said he'd seen Fred and his buddies digging a huge hole back in November. By the time police executed a warrant on the Woods estate, Fred was gone, but he left plenty of evidence. A gun, a paper titled plan. It had a step by step breakdown of the kidnapping they'd been plotting for a year. Police found a list with the names of the bus driver and the students, and there was an unfinished ransom note demanding $5 million. Wood's partners in crime were two brothers. Authorities caught up with 24-year-old James Schoenfield in Menlo Park. 22-year-old Richard Schoenfield turned himself in 8 days after the kidnapping. Woods was captured in Vancouver, Canada after 2 weeks on the run. All three kidnappers were from wealthy families in the San Francisco Bay Area. They would certainly have a different life in prison. They pled guilty to kidnapping. They were originally found guilty of bodily harm, which meant no parole. But that conviction was overturned, which changed the ruling to life sentences with the possibility of parole. The victims of the kidnapping also got a lifetime sentence, which was something the parents worried about.
The worst thing of the whole ordeal. The fact that the children were frightened, that's the worst thing to me, is that what has it done to them?
The children suffer from anxiety, night terrors, depression, and all types of phobias. Some, like Larry Park, who was 7 when he was kidnapped, developed a 20-year drug addiction and had anger issues.
I realized that all of the bitterness and all of the hatred that I could ever hold for them wasn't punishing them, it was killing me.
He decided to meet with the kidnappers in prison, where he forgave them. Remember 14-year-old Mike, who wasn't even supposed to be on the bus and ended up a hero? He's now a long-distance truck driver. Ed Ray continued as a bus driver until he retired. He died in 2012, and a local park was named after him. The Schoenfield brothers were model prisoners. Richard was paroled in 2012 at 57 years old. James was released in 2015 at the age of 63. Woods was a handful in prison. He was turned down for parole 17 times. In August of 2022, the 70-year-old was released after spending 46 years behind bars.
It's really sad because the children have lots of problems. There was anxiety, night terrors, just fear. Just imagine being kidnapped, driven around for 11 hours, and then buried underground, not knowing if you're going to live or die. There was a civil suit against Frederick Woods, and the kids did get a small settlement, which paid for some therapy. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye bye.